I am your host, Donald One, the Don One, and today we have our returning guest host, the lovely animation blogger reviewer, Angel Otaku. Welcome back.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah, man, it's great to have you on again. Playing catch up on our podcast episodes, people. Me and Angel have been wanting to do this episode for quite a while, but again, due to life and delays and Skype and all these technical issues we've been having on both sides, it took us this long to do it. And the topic for today's discussion, which you can see in the title, is the longest trends in anime.
Oh dear.
I know. And people, when you hear that title, you might think, are they going to talk about the big three? Not necessarily. We're going to hint on them, but this is about more than just, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and the most popular animes. There's a lot of titles that don't get mentioned, that have been running for God knows how long, God knows how many episodes. And Angel, me and you are going to take a little bit of an observational view on the longest running anime trends.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
What works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So I know you've got a few things to say about these titles, Angel. So it's going to be interesting, man. And hopefully we don't ramble on. Or sorry, correction. Hopefully I don't ramble on forever like I usually do. But well, we'll see. I won't make any promises to people. It's a compulsion I just can't help.
You can never make a promise like that.
We may even glance at the manga list at the end for fun, but you guys already know I'm not the manga guy. My co-host who's ran away, oh boy, he was the manga cat. He should know about these things, but he's not around. So maybe if we have time, there's so much anime to talk about. I don't know if we'll get to Angel, but we might have a look at the manga list and do some correlations.
I only know a couple of the ones that have run on, pretty much.
We'll have a look. We might have a look. I'm not going to promise we'll get to it, people, but if there's time, then we'll have a look. Alright, Angel, so before we get started on these trending lists, I actually want to discuss some elements that give these titles we're going to mention such longevity in the first place in all regions across the world, and I'm going to draw some parallels to get started so people know where we're coming from.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, so play along, Angel, because I'm going to ask you a question that might seem a little bit suspect at first, but do you know, let's step away from anime and manga for a moment. Do you know what is one of the longest running TV shows in America that I have never seen in my life? Can you take a guess?
I can guess a few, but it might be faster if you just tell me.
Yeah, I think it would be. The game show The Price is Right. It's one of the most popular game shows in America. It's been running since 1956 to present day, 57 years. And I have never watched an episode in my life, And it's a domestic US show. So there might be a UK version. I don't think there is, but I know that it's very popular in America. So have you seen The Price is Right, Angel?
Of course. I grew up watching it.
Well, there you go. All right, well, let me ask you another question. Have you heard of a very popular show, British show, because I'm British and you're American, called Blue Peter?
No, never.
Okay, Blue Peter is a children's variety show that's been running since 1958 in Britain for 55 years till this very day. I'm making a point here, people. Just follow me for a moment. Now, I would say these two shows are more commonly known to the people in their region country, as I just said. So let me flip this on its head. Angel, do you know about this US created show? It's called The Simpsons.
Of course.
Yes, it's the world-renowned, apparently longest-running American sitcom, if you want to call it that, because it's a cartoon. Let's not get into that. But
it's in the area animated sitcom.
Animated sitcom, fine, animated. It's so many categories. 24 years, 530 plus episodes to this day, still running, made in the US, but completely world-renowned. Who doesn't know about The Simpsons? You tell me, Angel.
If they've lived under a rock, maybe?
Maybe. All right, so that's a US show.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't I bring up a British show? Angel, have you heard of this British show that's also world-renowned called Doctor Who?
Definitely.
Doctor Who was started on the British Broadcasting Channel since 1963 to this very day, 50 years. Again, very popular, world-renowned. And as you can see, the point I'm making is you can have a domestic show that's very popular to the local population, and then you can have another show created in the country, but it's world-renowned. Now, as we get into these anime lists, you may see when we get to some of the lesser-known titles, they are the most longest trending shows. But we don't know about them because they are domestically known shows and not, well-known shows. And some of the well-known shows are the ones we do know about, but they don't trend as long as these domestic shows, Whether it be America's The Price is Right, UK Blue Peter, every country has their show, I'm sure Spain, and Germany, and Africa, they have shows been running for ages. Everyone has their pick. So when we get to anime, it's going to be interesting to see and discuss those shows as well that we might not even have any knowledge of. But we'll also be talking about shows that we know very well, that we've never spoken about on the podcast before.
And ones they probably have heard about many times.
Yeah, possibly. And, we're going to do it all, Angel. And people, don't trust me, we're going to make it fun. It's not going to be boring. We're going to be bringing up some interesting titles here. So, so what we're going to do, Angel, and people, you can follow us if you want. I'm going to put the links that we're going to be using because Wikipedia have given us these lists of, the longest running anime shows in anime, manga, TV series. I'm going to put all the links in the description. So this is what me and Angel are going to use as our basis for the discussion for this episode. And Angel, you're going to be taking the helms with this list because when you look at the list, it's bloody daunting. There's so many bloody titles on there. There's no way we can sit here and go through all the titles. So
not every one on of the titles actually has a basis here in America. Some of them have basis in Japan, and we will probably never see it.
Yeah. So, without further ado, Angel, you've got some handpicked, and after you've gone through, and we'll go back and forth, and as usual, I might go through, and if you've missed something that I want to mention, I might go and bring it up. But for now, you take the helm, and let's go through this list of the longest trending animes out there. And ladies first, go ahead.
I think first we need to talk about what makes it the longest anime running.
True.
Because there are so many different varieties of anime that keep going on that you have to stop and think what works and what doesn't.
Yes.
In my mind, what works is a comedy-based show that doesn't run for 25, 30 minutes half the time. That is if you want to worry about episode count.
Funny enough, you bringing it up, you will notice in almost every country, some of the longest running shows are comedies anyway. Because humans, we like to laugh. We love to be happy. So that's obviously going to work. Do you have an example, by any chance?
Actually, there's Cheese Sweet Home, and also that includes Cheese New Address. It's a anime that is popular in Japan, but not as popular here in America. It's about a little kitty cat who basically is her everyday life. It's what she learns as she walks around the house, trying to get a feel for being a house cat. All her little friends who start talking to her, and having to deal with a little, I guess he's like 8 years old? A little 8-year-old boy who wants to play with her all the time.
Is this got a Western distribution at all? Or is this just a Japanese straight, no sub?
I am not quite sure if there is if it's actually here in America at all, except for on Crunchyroll. I was actually able to watch it on Crunchyroll, so.
Ah, okay. Do you have an episode count for that series?
Yeah, for both Cheese Sweet Home and Cheese New Address, it's about 104 episodes. It's one of the shorter ones, but it's also very short in length. Each one is about, sometimes 15 minutes long. And that's including the opening and closing. So.
Well, did you get a feel for that? Did you enjoy what you saw?
I enjoyed it because it was really cute and sort of. It made me think differently about my own cats.
Oh, are you a cat lady, Angel?
Yes, I've got 2 baby kitties.
Oh, God. What's wrong with you people and your animals? I can't stand animals. Destroy them all. I'm playing, people. I love cats. Not really. But, they're okay. If they're not around me, that is.
To each their own.
Anyway, moving on. What's next, Angel?
Another one that actually worked really well, and this one is one in the 300s, actually, is Sergeant Frog. People love that one, and it has really no basis of a storyline. It's just comedy after comedy after comedy.
You got these weird Japanese titles that you wouldn't think. I mean, I'm not trying to be prejudiced or anything, but sometimes Japanese comedy can be an acquired taste. And you got some of these shows that have come over, like, I don't want to jump ahead of you, but when you bring up Sergeant Frog, which I will talk about as well, I just want to say, you got Shin-Chan as well. And when you see these shows, they got weird animation. The comedy is kind of, well, Sergeant Frog's got better animation than Shin-Chan, to be honest. Anyone knows that. But the eyes on Sergeant Frog and just the plot is just so madcap and insane. When I saw Sergeant Frog came over, I said, what the hell is this? I can't believe this is in English. I watched a couple of episodes. It was just bizarre. It was just bizarre. I was like, it's just so offbeat, weird. Personally, I kind of liked that it was a different kind of comedy. It wasn't your typical, Americanized, typical, I don't know, sketch comedy or something. It's just weird. But it was offbeat enough for me to appreciate it, but I'm surprised it's as successful as it actually is, to be honest with you.
Well, Cran-Chan has gone for like 800 episodes or so. It's been going a lot longer than Sergeant Frog.
Yeah, but the funny thing about Shin-Chan, I actually like Shin-Chan more just because the boy's a little shit.
I'm the opposite. I like Sergeant Frog more than Shin-Chan, so...
Well, they've given us the variety then. You're on the other side of the fence and I'm on the other side. So it's funny because, when I saw Shin-Chan back in the day, it was on Fox Kids and I think someone told me this was a censored version. I'm like, censored version? It's just about some kid and his family. How can there be an uncensored version? And then later on, I saw an uncensored version with swearing and this kid being really perverse. And I was like, what the hell? So, yeah, man. Crazy, man. But, yeah, I actually like Shin-Chan. Sergeant Frog, it's crazy, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people might think, how can you not like one and the other? They're just both crazy. But I don't know. I don't know what to say there.
Well, I think I know a little bit about why some people would like one and not the other. Sergeant Frog is more of a childish comedy. They don't really use harsh language. They have things that even a child could understand. Whereas Shin-Chan is more adult humor. It's almost the same reason why some people like, Family Guy rather than American Dad. Family Guy has a lot more childish style of humor, whereas American Dad had a more adult style humor, even though it's made by the same person.
You make a perfect point because I can't stand American Dad, but I absolutely love Family Guy. So yeah, that's an excellent point. And you know what? I know you just saying that you've brought up a title in my mind that is definitely not going to be on this list. Do you remember a long time ago, Angel? I recommended the show to you. It was a Bichu about that little pig. Is that a pig or a cat? I can't remember.
Which one was it again?
It was this little pig that keeps on getting abused by its master, this girl who can't stop having sex. It's not a long trending anime.
Oh, it's a hamster.
It's a hamster. I can't even remember. It's been such a long time. Yeah, Ibu-chan. So
yeah, I remember that.
It just came to my mind again. Weird, quirky kind of humor, but it's not long trending, so that was a little bit off topic. But yeah,
it had the same artwork as what Shin-Chan as well, actually.
Yeah, I think that's why it kind of came into my mind. Yeah, so I liked that show, by the way.
Well, it has a different style of humor too.
Yeah. All right, what you got next?
Well, let's go into some of the ones that may not be fully mainstream, but people have probably at least heard of them. Like, say, Zatch Bell, for instance.
Yeah, Zatch Bell. Have you seen Zatch Bell?
Yes, I've seen a little bit. I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Now, funny enough, Zatch Bell, I think the English version, they changed it into Gatch Bell, if I remember correctly. I'm not sure.
No, it was still Zatch Bell here.
Don't know why I remember that. But it was one of those titles my brother bought on eBay back before it was translated over here. And there's actually an uncensored version. When they brought over to the US, if I remember correctly, 4Kids made the edited version where it was a lot more toned down because the actual original version is a bit more violent, and I like the artwork. It's kind of crazy about this little kind of puppet thing that can do some crazy magic shit. The little I saw, I actually liked, and it's one of those titles I've always wanted to go back and watch. But yeah, what did you think?
I actually liked it a little bit. It had an interesting storyline and had some things that they brought up that made me think a little bit.
How many episodes did that get to?
Zatch Bell got to about 150.
Okay, another long trending anime that I know was very popular, had a big calling, but I think we both enjoyed it to an extent, which is cool. So yeah, what else you got?
If we're going to go with the ones that 4Kids butchered, let's go with Kirby Right Back At Ya.
What? Kirby Right Back At Ya? I never even watched that.
Now this one, I consider it their trial to push a game character into an animation style.
But how can you butcher Kirby? I thought isn't that very kid centric anyway, so how can you make it worse?
Well, they edited a lot of words and just I can't explain exactly all they did to it. If you look online, you can find all of these little screenshots that people have done where 4Kids has actually blurred out certain things or messed with certain things or took clips off of it. And it's amazing that they butchered it. I'm really amazed at how they did it.
All right. Well, that's got my interest. How many episodes did this get to? I've never heard of this show, Kirby.
It only went to 100, so this was one of the smaller ones. And I have a feeling that it might have ended because it was a game character that they tried to put in to an animated version.
Did this get an English dub, by the way?
Yeah. And 4Kids did it.
Kirby. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, it would have butchered English dub. That's what we do at 4Kids. Are they even still around now? I don't even keep my eye out to see if 4Kids are still around.
Well, when King Dedede actually sounds like Foghorn Leghorn from Looney Tunes, I think they've got a problem there.
Oh, fair enough. Well, I'm sure we'll get to other titles that 4Kids had their hands on.
Well, One Piece, for instance. We want to go into the known ones.
Yeah. Well, how much on One... Obviously, I did the whole episode of One Piece back in the day, and I'll speak on it in a moment. But let me ask you, what do you think of One Piece, and what's your experiences with it?
Well, 4Kids version, I hate it. The only thing they got right was one or two of the voices, and that was it. But now that Funimation is actually grabbing it and redoing it, it actually sounds a lot better. So I'm still not quite sure about the length, though, because it seems to be just ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, this is the one thing that's always put people off One Piece, and I'm going to say something I haven't said to this point, because I haven't really given an update on my thoughts on One Piece since we did that episode about 2 years ago. For me, One Piece has had its heyday now. At the they did a time skip, and around episode 515 or 16, I believe. And to be honest with you, it's not as good as it used to be. A lot of the fans agree. It's still a good show, but I would say to people, you know what? Those first 500 episodes. I'm not saying it like it's a small thing, people. 500 episodes is a big commitment. Those first 500 episodes are pretty good, man. So if anyone would consider it, I would say at least try to watch the first half. The new stuff, I wasn't really. I know you really don't know what I'm talking about at this point, Angel, but this Fisherman arc was kind of silly. That fight was dragged on, and now, people talk about the manga, and, it's still okay, but it's seen as heyday. I mean, you can't expect something to keep the quality for that long anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people don't like the show because it's long and they don't want to get into it, want to make the commitment. And I've said this as well. The way the story is, it's a pirate adventure story. It warrants it being that long. It doesn't necessarily have a storyline anyway. They're just pirates on an adventure, so it warrants being so long. Other shows that we'll mention, like Bleach and Naruto, they had or have story arcs that should end, that are dragged on, which, to me, anyway, we'll get to that.
But if you look at the reason why, I think it's partly because of the manga isn't ending. And so it keeps dragging on, whereas, say, for instance, if they did what Inuyasha did, and they ended it at a certain point, and then waited for the manga to finish, and then they did the last few to end off the series. I think they should definitely do that in a certain aspect. But from what I know of, they won't do it because they're getting money out of it.
True. But again, I don't want to use this as an excuse, but the storyline in One Piece is one that warrants it being ongoing. It can be an adventure story about pirates. It's just about constant adventures. I can't compare it to anything else. I wish I could, but unlike other animes, the way the story is fine to be how it is. But let me tell you something. Even I'm like, I'm kind of had enough now. You know what I mean? Even if it's good, it gets to a point where you've had enough. 500 episodes of One Piece, I'm kind of a little bit burnt out. So yeah.
Well, I think at this point we should definitely talk about what merits them going on. What merits each episode or each show to be as long as it is.
Yeah, and a lot, and I would prefer people that are new to anime to pick shorter shows to get into, because long-running shonens are giving anime a really bad name. Really bad name. People just don't like long-running shonens. And let's move away from One Piece now, because I don't want to spend too much time on this, because other titles deserve the time as well. Do you want to, since we're in the One Piece one, do you want to talk about the other big three just to get them out of the way?
Yeah, we can.
Naruto. That, in my mind, has a story. It has a story that is being dragged on. Really dragged on. They've put plot elements there, characters there that need to be resolved, and they just drag the shit on, in my opinion, And I still keep up with the manga. People online give chapter summaries. Naruto and Sasuke, when's this shit going to end? When's this shit going to end? So, I have a very low tolerance for shows like that. So, what's your thoughts on Naruto anyway? I don't want to go off on a bender, because I will about these shows. But Naruto, what's your thoughts?
I liked it when it started out. And then, as I went on, and I think part of this was because of the fan base. Because of how crazy they were getting. But I lost interest.
Yeah.
I don't consider Naruto and Naruto Shopen as individual pieces. I consider that as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's because from what I have seen of Naruto Shopen, it is exactly the same as the first.
Yeah.
It kind of throws me off as, okay, they're older. They should be different a little bit, at least.
To be honest with you, it was totally a cheap trick. I'm not gonna lie. One Piece did a time jump. They didn't do that. They got older, 3 years older. The characters kept the same name. When you change the name of a title, to me, you're taking the series in a new direction.
Yeah, for instance, like Pokemon. Yeah. It's a different series. It's the same characters, but they're in different scenarios.
Yeah. You know what? Perfect example. And Naruto, it didn't change enough for it to warrant a name change. It just didn't. And to be honest with you, for me, The reason why they did that name change is because they had such a bad reputation with those fillers that I don't remember, it's 90 episodes of fillers that were notorious, that they needed something to tell the people, we're back, we're going to take it seriously now. And, you know, I do know Naruto Shippuden is a lot better than Naruto, but you already lost me.
Yeah.
You lost me at Naruto, so, you know, and like you said, in Naruto's case, I do feel like the name change was really pointless. And it really just, it helped the brand to show them that, come back, people, come back, we've got a new show, new name, same shit.
Well, not only that, but like with the Pokemon thing, you can start a different series in the Pokemon franchise, and you won't be lost, really. I mean, sure, he might have a couple new Pokemon that you don't really know about yet, but it's not like you have to watch all the other ones. For Naruto Shippuden, Shippuden. My mouth isn't working right.
It's all right.
You have to watch Naruto in order to understand what's the storyline in that. And again, that's another reason why it threw me off, was because I could not finish Naruto in order to be able to watch Shippuden.
All right, so let's move on to the last of the three, Bleach, and then I'll hand the reins back to you. And
well, we also need to talk about Ranma and Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh no, I'm just saying the big three. Then we'll move on to Ranma and Yu-Gi-Oh. So okay. I'm just saying Bleach as the final of the big three. That already stopped. The anime's actually stopped. When I look at Bleach, I see a show that was very simple. That it's just it was a really cool action anime that didn't annoy me half as much as Naruto, but they had a very, very transparent protagonist, and the manga's still ongoing. I don't know what to say about Bleach. It was ultimately disappointment, but apparently now they've just gone in. The manga continues the story.
None of the characters really grew, which is an issue with me. If you're going to have it that long and have the characters the same as when the show first started, that's an issue.
Yeah, to be honest with you, it's just dragged on. I really don't have much to say about Bleach. When I look at it now, I just feel like it was a very typical shonen anime, action anime. It had a good idea, and they had their fillers as well, not as bad as Naruto in my opinion, and ultimately, you know, maybe I wouldn't mind watching a Bleach Kai. If they brought that show back, condensed it, and made it a very short action anime, I think it'll be cool, but they really it was a flop. I'm just going to leave it at that. Bleach is just too simple for me to even try to analyze. It's a very simple show that just failed, you know, and the manga, it just seems, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool, aesthetically cool looking anime that flopped. I just want to leave it at that, to be honest with you.
Again, I think this one would be one of the ones I would have rather them do what the Pokemon did, with having the different arcs with a different name, in a sense.
Bleach? I don't think so, to be honest with you.
Well, in like 2 or 3 of the arcs, like in one, and then maybe in another type thing. I don't know. It might have been better, is what I'm saying. I don't know exactly if it would or not, but yeah.
Who knows, Angel? Who knows? All right, yeah, man. So, what did you want to talk about? Yu-Gi-Oh next? Is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, we can do Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh yeah, and by the way, people, if you want to, I really shouldn't have to mention the episode count for Naruto. Naruto went on 300 plus 400 episodes. I don't know. Bleach went on to 320 or something episodes. If anyone's interested, but you guys should already know. You shonen super fans, but yeah. Sorry, moving on to Yu-Gi-Oh. Was it?
Yep. This is another one that I consider a Pokemon rendition of. Because they did the different arcs in a different name, and in some of them you don't even have to watch the show or the series before it in order to get what's going on. You just have to know the game.
Yeah. And were you a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh? What do you think?
I was a fan of the first few, and then when they did, and I haven't seen very much of this one, but the card game on motorcycles, I think they went a little bit too far.
You're telling me. And let me tell you something. I adore the card game Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the card game. I played it for so many years. Yes, I was a fanboy of the card game. I played it on the PSP. Me and my friends competed in it. As for the anime, it was good. It was very amusing. I think it's very camp. And the first series, Yu-Gi-Oh! With the main character, Yugi Moto, that series is so camp, so hilarious. How can you take these things seriously, from the way they look, to the voice acting, to the plots, to the fact that, monsters actually attacking people, but they're not really monsters, they're digital representations. It's one of the most fun camp animes I've had fun with, to be honest with you. And the technicalities of the game, as a gamer, I love puzzle games, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like an action puzzle game to me. I love that. So I really like the series. And as you said, the different incarnations, the first one's Yu-Gi-Oh! The second one is Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. GX was a bit sillier than the original series, but again, I like the game mechanics. But going into the high school and then the English dub with Jaden Yuki, yo, what's up, dude? Yo, what's up, man? With his whole...
I think it was a cop-out to give him the last name of Yugi.
Yeah.
Come on.
I know. And there was a lot of things about that show. That was 10 times more camp than the first series. But again, you won me over with the technical aspects of it. But the main character, Jaden, people didn't like him because he just merged everything. Hey, combine, fusion. Anyway, moving on to the series you mentioned, 5Ds.
I think that's it.
Totally lost me. I thought that was preposterous. Driving and playing cards.
Props for trying to make it different. That was one thing that I really like, is the fact that almost every single rendition there is something that you can pick out and actually go by. Oh yeah, this one was the game on motorcycles. That one was the school life genre.
True.
What was it? There was a board game too in one of them. They kept on adding more and more ideas to the card game itself. And that's what I really like, was the creativity of what they were doing.
And this new one, is it Yu-Gi-Oh! Zetai? I think if I'm pronouncing that right.
I think so. I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen it either. But again, there's a member on Planet Tyro, I think it's Tron, he's a very big Yu-Gi-Oh! Fanboy. And he even told me 5Ds wasn't that bad, I should give it a chance. And I'm not going to lie, I'm being very biased towards 5Ds because I watched the first episode, and as soon as I saw the racing motorcycles, I thought, no way. I didn't even give it a chance. So people, I'm not even going to pretend to know anything about 5Ds. So, but yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the card game. In summary, the animes are okay. All of them are watchable. But I think if you don't really like the card game, I don't think you're going to like the anime, to be honest with you.
There's one that I wanted to bring up before we go into Ranma. I wanted to bring up Detective Conan, otherwise known as Case Closed here in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that one is still going on. And yet I actually love it. Which is weird, because it's not a comedy. It's a detective show.
You know, my problem with Detective Conan is very simple. The initial premise of the show, they could resolve that and still keep on the show. You know, I like the case-by-case episodes, and some of them are really intelligent and some of them are really fun, but, you know, when is this guy going to figure out who did to him, what did to him, and when's he going to get the cure for his little condition, you know? It's Jesus, man. That's the issue, but you can still carry on the case-by-case episodes. I think Detective Conan is a good show. I do. I enjoyed what I saw, but obviously the whole underpinnings of the show is this organization that poisoned him, that turned him into a little kid now. You know, when's he going to get the cure? It's just like, just get over that. He's a genius detective. I just want to. I like the cases, but just stop this shit where you're dragging this shit on where you don't know who did what, and it's just, that's my problem with the show. You give him the cure and then continue with the cases. The show could be fine with just the cases, but having that thing there, teasing everyone thinking it's gonna come next year. How long has this been going on for?
About 700 episodes, not including the 14 movies.
Yeah, I mean, the anime is good, but again, I think they just need to stop with the initial premise and just, if they want to keep it as a detective story, But anyway.
I agree that if they ended it, I wouldn't be sad about it. Yeah. Because I can always go back and watch the 700 episodes.
Yeah.
But I'm still enjoying it, which is interesting concept for me, myself, that I'm still enjoying it, even though it's not comedy. It's not one of the normal things that would really stand out to me for a long-going series.
No, I agree. I enjoyed Detective Conan, and most of the time I just try to put the thoughts that he's never going to get the cure out of my head, so that way I can just enjoy the show.
Yeah.
And
it's fun figuring out it before him.
If you can, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now let's go on to Ranma. We've been putting that one off a little bit.
Well, we had it in our first podcast together. We did have an extended discussion about Ranma already. You know what I mean? So people should really go back. I'm not gonna get into this with you again. It wasn't even an argument. It was just fun conversation. But what can I say? You know what? An update on Ranma is actually, it's getting released on Blu-ray. If you didn't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I was happy to hear that. And you know what? Let me ask you a question. Sorry, you know what? Let me before I ask this question, let me just give you my thoughts. The people who, if you don't want to go back and listen to our podcast, what do I think of Ranma? Ranma is actually, believe it or not, nearly my number one anime of all time. Ranma is one of my favorite animes of all time. I absolutely love Ranma. The funniest anime comedy, personally. Still holds up to this day. Amazing English voice acting. Storyline. This is, funny enough, we talked about Detective Conan. This is a premise that's like Detective Conan. It's ongoing and it can get annoying if you don't ignore the fact it isn't going to resolve.
Yeah. It does need to resolve in the manga, and she already ended it.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Unlike Detective Conan, it ended with no resolution, which is it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. So
that's why I'm hoping that Detective Conan doesn't do the same thing and say, "Oh, there's absolutely no cure for you. We're ending the series now." I really hope it doesn't do that.
My question to you was going to be, what would you think? What would you think if Ramiko Takahashi tried to do one wrap-up season for Ranma like they did with Inuyasha, like she did with Inuyasha?
I think it could be wrapped up in that little time.
I mean, would you want them to do that? Would you want her to do that?
It would make things a lot easier for all the fan base, I think, because everybody's now on their seat thinking, are they going to get together? Are they going to get together?
Do you really think that's a question? Of course they're going to get together. You think that's even a question, really?
Well, if she goes on a surprise and actually puts him with somebody else, it's going to be really interesting. Of course, she's also going to get a whole bunch of people pissed off at her, but it would still be a lot more interesting and a really good way of setting her as a different type of person, a different type of writer.
True. And, because you didn't give your thoughts on Ranma, just so the people know, what do you feel about Ranma?
I liked it. It just never ended, which makes me sad.
Yeah.
And some of the jokes are repetitive. That's another issue that I have.
Yeah, I hear you. I can't disagree with anything you're saying now or on the first podcast, You actually sounded a lot more annoyed the first time we spoke about this story with Ranma.
I've grown. That's all I can say on that.
No. It's just your opinion. I mean, I understand anyone's annoyed with the continuous, dragged on premise of, and unlike other shows, I think they never tease to Ranma getting the cure more than any other anime. This is they really tease at it, so I understand anyone that was really frustrated with Ranma.
Not to mention how many times he went to China and then came back and said, "Oops, I forgot." Like, how can you forget something like that?
Yeah, I hear ya. All right, anyway, moving on.
Let's see here.
Oh, by the way, that one was 163 episodes, Ranma, I think it was?
It's 61.
61,
not including... Sorry. This is all not including the movies.
Yeah.
This is only the TV series that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And just so people know, we are just talking about what we're acquainted with for now, and as we go on, we'll get to some other stuff we're not too familiar with. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm. Well, here's one that we should have brought this one up when we were talking about One Piece. Fairy Tail. The other side of One Piece.
I'm glad you said that and not me. You go first.
Well, I liked it, but it was going on for pretty long. Unlike One Piece, this one has ended.
The anime series stopped. To be honest with you, from what I understand, there's a little bit of a grey area with that. They said they may be doing more anime projects, but for now, they caught up with the manga, so they had to stop.
I'm happy about that. Because that means that they're going close to the manga and they don't want to go out into outer space and try to find some other little arc that they can use until the manga gets going again. And that's the same thing as what they did with Inuyasha, is where they ended it, and then they came back with the ending series.
Alright, so you enjoyed Fairy Tail for the most part? I
do enjoy it. It does run on a little bit long, but it's got some great ideas to it. Even though it feels a lot like One Piece, there are things that make it its own.
You know, it's funny you saying that, because that was one of the reasons I was hesitant to watch Fairy Tail, because a lot of people called it a One Piece clone, and I finally started watching it this year, and I can see similarities in the animation, but I would definitely not call this a One Piece clone. And to be honest with you, I don't have a lot of positive things to say about Fairy Tail. So I don't want to bash on it, because I know a lot of people like it, but from Fairy Tail, to me, was just kind of like anime for dummies. It was very fluff, very fast paced, to the point where they're taking shortcuts on basic, stuff. It's I don't know what to say. It's like shonen for kids. You want to see fast action. You want to see people fighting and people. I don't know what to say. Fairy Tail, it's watchable, but it's kind of fluff to me. But actually, funny enough, this is one of those shows I would say it works better as a manga. When I saw the manga for this, I thought this looks fun. When I watched the anime, I just thought this doesn't really work too well. Yeah. Okay. So moving on from
your little rant there.
Yeah.
Let's go into Dragon Ball Z, I think, would be a good one for the fans.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball in general. I can talk about, the whole franchise, the whole Dragon Ball franchise in its entirety. But let's start with Z and work our way around to the rest. Can I start by saying something about Dragon Ball Z?
Go ahead.
It's legendary, obviously. It's one of the most popular anime of all time. I have fond memories of it, bringing me into the dubbed anime scene. There's not much, it's very well respected. And to be honest with you, I kind of respect Dragon Ball Z for not being milked too much, even though people consider Dragon Ball GT to be the milking of Dragon Ball Z. Where I think when you look at, I'm sorry to do this, I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people by saying this. When you look at the Western universe and DC universe, they tend to milk a lot of their superheroes to the point of oversaturation, where with anime, they just kind of move on. Dragon Ball, there's only been Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and then the franchise is done. Then, they are making one more movie, but I have fond memories of Dragon Ball, and in total, I think it runs up to about, off the top of my head, can't be more than 400 episodes. 296 for Z, 160 for Dragon Ball, and 63. So maybe 500 episodes, possibly. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z is cool. But I think the only negative thing I could say is it's not a show I can actually recommend to anyone now, because it's kind of a product of its time, where the fillers are just too long drawn out, where I can't say to anyone watch Dragon Ball Z now. It's one of those shows where maybe I'll say watch Kai possibly, but I don't think you would get the same feeling for Dragon Ball Z now. It just wouldn't work. So it's just sad to say that, but I think that's how I feel about it now.
I feel that Dragon Ball Z is the male version of Sailor Moon. It's something that we've grown up with and we've heard over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's nostalgia for us.
Yeah.
I wasn't really into Dragon Ball Z too much. I was into Sailor Moon more because it was catered more towards women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one good thing about both of those, actually, is that the fan base keeps on asking for it to be revamped and made better. And so, because of how many people are doing that, they are getting a second chance. Even though they're so long, people are investing their time to redo it just so that the fans are happy.
Well, don't make it sound so noble. It's the money as well. It's a very popular show, and they're going to make a lot of money to bring that show back anyway. So, it's in the company's best interest to do that anyway.
I'd rather take a blind eye to that part. I would rather think that they're not as heartless as they are.
Trust me, it's not just about the fans. It's business, baby. It's business. But yeah, so the little you saw of Dragon Ball, did you even enjoy Dragon Ball? It's interesting to get a female's perspective on Dragon Ball, because I don't hear a lot of females talking about Dragon Ball Z, really.
It was okay. I mean, there were certain things that I liked and certain things I didn't like. Like I said, it was catered to men. So the young girl in me doesn't really connect too much to any of the characters. So
well, what can you do? What can you do? Dragon Ball, it's legendary. I'll just leave it at that.
As I said, with Sailor Moon going at the same time, I would rather watch that than Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Totally understandable. Totally understandable. Yeah. All right, what's up? What you got next?
How about we do another one that's similar to Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho?
Oh, Yu Yu Hakusho. What a great show.
Mm-hmm.
What a great show. What can I say, man? It was enjoyable. I think the English dub is fantastic. The opening outro was fantastic. But I think this is a show that I feel suffers from a little bit of repetition at the end. Mm-hmm. It felt like, I don't know if you have you seen the whole series of Yu Yu Hakusho?
I haven't seen the whole series yet.
The last season feels like a repeat of the middle season. It feels at the point, but it's still fun. And I don't have a lot of negative to say. It's a really fun ride. To be honest with you, if anyone wanted a short version of Dragon Ball Z, then Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of, to me, in a way that.
Not only that, but it has a little more of adult humor to it, I think.
Yeah.
Rather as Dragon Ball Z was more childish. I didn't get into Yu Yu Hakusho until I was in middle school, rather, because of all the adult content that they had placed in it. Whereas it's not that much, but it was enough to keep it off of the kids' show block.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Yu Yu Hakusho is just as violent as Dragon Ball Z, but I think Dragon Ball Z was more heavily edited on on its original,
That is true.
when it was originally brought over here. And Yu Yu Hakusho really wasn't. I think originally it wasn't edited that much, even when it was brought over, so.
That is true. But again, that's all depends on where it was shown. In Japan, it might have been the same as Dragon Ball Z, but when it came here, it wasn't because of, as you said, the editing.
I think Yu Yu Hakusho was was it 160 episodes?
112, it looks like.
Well, I knew it was over 100.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm the only one who's bringing up all of these ones. How about you?
Yeah, I can, me, I can talk for ages. And, since, as we mentioned, we got a lot of this is from Wikipedia, and Angel went through and did a little handpick because, again, to go through every single title on this list would be absolutely ridiculous. So,
not to mention, we have no clue about some of these.
Yeah, and actually, I'm looking at the list. I think you covered. See, people, I could edit this down, people. I'm not going to edit it. You're going to be with us right now because I'm looking through this list real quick. And actually, you've covered everything I would have covered because after this point, we are going into unknown territory. Nope, I've just double checked. You did. You did everything I am actually aware of, except for Toriko, actually. Yeah. Yes, Toriko, which we did forget to mention. Toriko, it's funny. When you just look at this show, as soon as you see it, you just think, is this Dragon Ball Z in the alternate universe or something? This guy looks like Goku. What's going on here?
I think I've heard of this one. Isn't this the one that has more of the food aspect to it?
Yes, it does.
It's coming out in an anime format, I think, right now.
Yeah, that's been out for a while in anime format.
Yeah, but it's just now getting a dub.
Oh, sorry, that's what you meant. Yeah, you're right. It is just recently getting a dub.
It's just recently coming into English light, as it were.
Yeah. But it's been popular for a very, very long time. It's a comedic show. To be honest with you, Angel, I've only seen one episode, which is why I've heard a lot of negative about this, even though it's just meant to be a very flighty, campy comedy around. I'm not even too sure about the synopsis. I think it's about a guy who's. Have you watched this? I think you might know more about this than me, to be honest with you.
I've seen clips, and to me, it looks just like what was it? Bo?
Yeah.
It has that similar feel to it from what I've seen, which I don't really like Bobobo, so I'm not sure if I'm going to like Toriko.
Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of negative about this, especially one of the editors on Anime Vice, Sam Weller. He did a write-up on it and completely slammed it for good reason. I didn't think it would be anything serious, but I heard even the comedy is really lame. So, and I just heard this about a chef trying to get rare animals to make the rarest dishes or something like that. It sounds like another show, Cooking Master Boy, which sounds a lot more better, which is a show, and I've kind of gone off topic, but that's a show I've always wanted to watch as well. Toriko seems like a fighting man's version of Cooking Master Boy, to be honest with you. People who know Cooking Master Boy might think I'm totally off the ball, but, correct me if I'm wrong. I really don't know, but from what I've heard of Toriko, it's to be avoided. And, everyone has told me it's just bleh. It's meh.
Still give it a shot. I mean, I'm not going to judge it off of the few clips that I've seen of it.
I'm glad you said there was a dub, because to be honest with you, I'm definitely going to check it out in dub. I won't go out of my way to watch this in sub.
Yeah, Funimation is doing it.
Yeah.
But they must be doing something right, because it's like 116 episodes still going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it did a crossover with One Piece and Dragon Ball Z, which is interesting.
That is going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it was a one episode special they did earlier this year, I believe, and I should actually check out the episode. It might be fun.
Yeah, that would be interesting, especially with Luffy.
Yeah, definitely. They both love eating Luffy, Goku, and Toriko. That should be funny seeing them battle over the dinner table. So, yeah. But honestly, Angel, I'm still looking over this list, and I'm telling you, man, even when I look up and down, now we're getting into the territory of the unknown. I think titles that haven't quite crossed the border, but actually are the longest trending anime titles in Japan.
Yeah, and looking through them a lot, you can just tell sometimes with these names that they're a comedy.
Yes, yes, and I think we've both got the same list up now. So let's see. Okay, Angel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to this Wikipedia list, and we're gonna look at the anime in the list of currently active, longest running anime series to date.
Mm-hmm.
And now, people, a lot of these titles we're going to mention now have not crossed the borders of Japan. And, there is no Western distribution. There isn't any English sub. I couldn't even find fan subs for a lot of these, especially the first 6. So, do you want to do this? Do you want to read them? Because my pronunciation's bad. And if I start reading them, you're going to correct me anyway.
It's been a while. My Japanese is rusty, but I'll give it a shot. The first one, which I cannot... Alright, I can believe and cannot believe that it's this long and still going, is Saze-san.
Saze-san. This is the number 1 longest running trending anime of all time. Is that correct?
I believe so, because it's like 6,917 episodes plus.
But there's a reason for that, isn't there, Angel?
I would think so. When I was looking at it, it has a very comedic style, very similar to Shin-chan, and yet it's very short. Each episode is approximately 6 minutes long.
Yeah, which is probably why it's been running for so long.
Mm-hmm. Which really feels like, in my words, it's a cop-out. Making an episode 6 minutes long in order to get all of these episodes in.
Well, you call it a cop-out, but it's actually been airing since 1976. Sorry, 1946. So that's 70 years.
That is true, but if you put them together to where there's actually the 30-minute long episodes, how many of those episodes are going to be out of that list, out of that number?
Who knows? I'm not going to do the math on that.
I'm not going to do the math either because it's way too long. But
this show must be a staple in Japan. Can you imagine? I mean, that's the times of the end of World War II coming to, the end of World War II, they started airing this show till today. And, I watched an episode. Did you see an episode of this?
No, I haven't yet.
This just seems like a slice of life comedy that's very traditional, has a lot of traditional Japanese, references, jokes and stuff that probably a Western audience wouldn't get. And because it's 6 minutes long, there's no surprise that this hasn't been, picked up by overseas. This is something that is definitely domestically viable. Just like when I mentioned The Price is Right, it's a Japanese thing. It's a Japanese thing. They love it. It's traditional. It's part of their heritage. It's 6 minutes, and it probably ain't going nowhere.
Well, I really hope that somebody at least has a dub so that I can take a look at it at least and know what the heck it's all about.
I found a video, but it hasn't even got subtitles. And when I put this post up, people are going to see I've put videos up. So, that should be funny. But yeah, there's not much more we can say on it. We haven't seen it. There's no dub, but it just looks like a comedy. And as we already alluded to, comedies are always going to be number 1. But when you top comedy with tradition, we've gone on for 70 years and there's 6 minutes. No wonder there's 6,000 episodes plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to give a go at pronouncing the second longest show I've got here. But funny enough, I've actually got the English name for this as well, because there is someone translating this into English for me. Thank you very much. But the Japanese pronunciation that I will attempt is Nintanama Rantaro.
Rantaro. Yeah.
Rantaro, thank you. And that translates into Ninja Boy Rantaro.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually looks quite amusing. I actually watched an episode on YouTube, and it had these three little ninjas running around in this training camp doing little bits of funny things. It kind of reminded me of the comedic elements of Naruto, but they're little kid ninjas. And again, looking at the episode count for this, it's 773 plus episodes ongoing. The episodes range from 10 to 30 minutes, and it's still in production to this very day.
Mm-hmm. And also what seems really interesting is there's a live action of this, too.
Wow, I didn't even know that. But, again, this is another show that hasn't got it hasn't got any Western license or sub or anything. And again, it just may be too short and too specific to Japanese culture for Western audiences to get it.
Mm-hmm.
But in saying that, I actually found out this show has actually been released in Germany and Spain.
Well, that's interesting because they normally don't get this type of stuff.
I don't know. Maybe it's the culture. I don't know what to say. I was surprised to I found this ninja anime in different languages on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So, boy, I don't know what to say, man. But from the little I saw, it actually made me laugh, even though there was no subtitles. So I don't know what to say, man. Mm-hmm. Kind of crazy.
Well, I'm very curious about it.
All right, so as we continue to go into the shows we know nothing about, I can see another one called, is it Oja Rumaru?
Ojarumaru.
There you go. Another 10-minute, very short anime that's gone on episode 1388 plus.
There's an English. The English name is Prince Macaro.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's actually licensed by an English film too.
Really?
Yeah. But I've never heard of this company before. Enoki Films. So it's kind of interesting.
I actually couldn't find a video on that one, so there's not much I can say on this. So we're totally walking blind, people. But I have to say, for the record, I don't know if the audience listening may be feeling lost here, but I find it interesting to look at these titles that are very successful in Japan, that have, very long episode numbers, and we know nothing about them, and they've never seen the light of day over in the Western world. Because a lot of people seem to think One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, these are the longest running shows. No, these short comedy shows are actually what is really trending in Japan, and I guess it's really culturally relevant or just popular for the Japanese. But it would be interesting to watch what these people, what the Japanese are really loving right now out there.
It would also be really interesting to see exactly what they give to our little kids, because most of these look like they are specifically for little kids.
Yeah.
Like real tiny ones. For instance, the next one that's on the list, I'm going to butcher this, I think. Anpan Man.
Yeah.
Which basically is about a little guy who looks like he's got a piece of bread as a head.
Yeah.
It's a bun with azuki beans in it, if I remember correctly.
Did you get to see an episode of this? Because I actually did.
No, I haven't. I haven't seen almost any of these that are on the list.
Yeah, I know, because we did kind of do this last minute on the podcast,
but I'm really interested.
This one looks like a superhero spoof show.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched the video, and I put a video that I found on YouTube in the link. And the episode I saw looks like fun, but it seemed very childish. It was this little bread-faced superhero running around on the island, and it just seemed like a really kiddie, cute show. I wish I could compare it to an American or British alternate, because I see stuff like this on Nicktoons TV or Nick for Kids. These little just meh superhero cartoon shows for children. It was like one of them, but just a Japanese version. It looked fair enough, but again, I understand why this wouldn't get a Western release. You got enough American and English variants of this kind of thing anyway, so there's no need for them to waste money on this. And again, it's got a lot of cultural jokes, I can even tell from the little I saw, so
Interesting little tidbit for all those who are trying to learn Japanese. Pan means bread, by the way.
Ah. Did you say pan?
Pan, yes.
In French, pain. The pain means bread as well. Interesting. I hope I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure I am. I know a little bit of French. Anyway, we digress. I think we've only got one more that we don't know about, and then we do know about the next one.
Mm-hmm. That's a Chibi Maroko-chan?
Yeah. Again, I saw an episode of this. This looked like another family-centric comedy that was very much slice of life. It looked very similar to the number one show, Saze-chan. Just it was about a little girl. The episode I saw, she wouldn't get out of bed to go to school. Again, no subtitles, couldn't really understand the plot, but it just seemed very slice of life. So
again, it seems to me like it's a girl's version of Shin-chan.
Yeah.
Especially in the art style as well. It's got that really dopey look to the characters.
Yeah, well done. You've actually made a good job of differentiating it. Yeah, now that you say that, that's exactly what I think it is, actually. Yeah. And looking at the episode count, it's on 918 episode plus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually 25 minutes an episode.
Yeah, which is interesting because normally you would think that it would be rather short.
Yeah.
So slice of lives don't normally, if they're going to be this long of a series, normally they're short.
Usually they are. But honestly, there's not much more I can say on it than that. Mm-hmm. And the next title is one that I think we've already spoke about previously on the podcast.
Oh yeah, the next listing is Shin-chan, and then Detective Conan, and then One Piece, which we've already talked about those.
Yeah. But just for me to say again about Shin-chan, Shin-chan is the one that got the Western distribution. It is, to me, when we were talking about these other titles that we don't really understand, that we, because they ain't got a sub. I mean, they ain't got a sub or dub. Shin-chan's the one that did translate over well, that does show you those jokes about Japanese culture and stuff. And I've seen Shin-chan, so I know that. So I'm surprised that this is so successful. But then again, Shin-chan does make me laugh, and it's just weird and quirky enough to be a winner. So I don't know what company distributes Shin-chan over in the US and the Western world, but they did a good job, because I think they took a chance. Whoever decided to go ahead with Shin-chan, I think they took a big chance on putting some money into dubbing that, because I think it could have been a flop.
So far, it's Adult Swim here, and then in the UK, it's Fox Kids, Jetix, and Pop.
Yeah, I remember seeing it on Fox Kids. The first time I saw Shin-chan, I saw it on Fox Kids, and it was heavily edited, and it just seemed like, what the hell is this? But later, when I saw the uncensored version, and he was making all these dirty jokes and swearing and being really rude to his parents, I thought, this is really funny. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, Angel, I think we've pretty much covered the list.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whoa. Editor's note. We actually did speak about Pokemon. Yes, we spoke about it before recording the podcast, which is why we had that funny intro. And yeah, how can you do a longest trending anime episode without talking about Pokemon? Over 800 episodes, 17 seasons. It should actually be ranked as the third longest running anime in terms of it being over 20 minutes. And I apologize to you, Ash Ketchum, and the producers and the creators of Pokemon. We do recognize you as the longest running, craziest anime that will never end, just as bad as The Simpsons. But yeah, I just thought I better put that editor's note in there before I get any emails. So it was just an oversight. We did mention it before the podcast. Anyway, back to the podcast. Editor's note finished. Again, people, the point of the podcast was to kind of bring awareness to the longest running trends. And, we are coming to the end of the podcast, but I do want to kind of move into Western culture and start talking about trends in America with actually cartoons. Now we've spoken about anime, because when we look at the Western world, we can see DC and Marvel kind of have long-running shows now, but they keep on rebooting them. I mean, Batman the Animated Series, to my mind, without even checking, that must be, okay, apart from The Simpsons, obviously, Batman must be the longest-running animated series. It's got over 100 episodes, and it had, like, the Batman and Robin adventures as well. Then it mutated into the Justice League with Superman. Those shows are great. But, you know, I don't know, man. I also wanted to talk about, well, sorry, do you want to say anything? Because I'm going to quickly jump into something related.
When you go into rebooting an anime or even an animation from America, you have to talk about some of the ones that have just come out recently. We've got My Little Pony.
Yeah.
Which they took a really childish little kids show and made it so that people who are around my age can like it. I mean, I've watched it and I've actually done a review about it, and I have to say I'm hooked to it because it's a rather cute show.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Bronies, who are normally in demographic 18 to 35-year-olds. So here we have a show little kids love, and it was kind of a short thing when I was younger, and now we've got it going on. I think they've got 3 or 4 different seasons already, and they're going into another, and then they've just started an idea for Equestria Girls, and people are loving it, and I have a feeling that it's going to be like one of these ongoing shows.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of annoys me. No, right, let me just stick to the Little Pony thing for a second. Yeah, I was impressed. This just came out of nowhere for me. 1 minute, Little Pony was there when I was young, then it disappeared, and all of a sudden, friendship is magic. I mean, the title alone, I was like, what the hell? Friendship is magic? But then when I saw it, I saw the Powerpuff Girls influence. I'm sure it was the same creator who made it. And I thought it was cool. When I heard that it was such a big hit with a subculture of bronies and stuff, and even got into the clompers, which I'm not going to get into, but I was like, damn, the power of animation. But again, from what I hear, it's not just that, it's actually the show is very endearing and it's very cute and stuff like that. So I have nothing against bronies. I mean, I believe, so correct me if I'm wrong, Kimono Joe, I believe Kimono Joe is admittedly a brony, which isn't a crime, by the way. But yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool. But I don't know, man. When it comes to Western animation and TV series, they do seem to be settling down. But in the past, from what I can remember, if it wasn't Disney with DuckTales, Goof Troop, you know, all those Disney-esque ones, no one else is really doing anything. And DC and Marvel, although X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, those were such short-lived shows. And now that they're making the move to the big screen, we're seeing less and less of them. Which is a shame. But as for what trends, for me, America's always about ratings. If it ain't trending, if it ain't got good ratings, then it's going to get cancelled and they're going to try something else. And I think the most recent victim of this is the Young Justice series, which again annoys the hell out of me because I actually loved Young Justice with a passion. It was refreshing to see new characters apart from Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, you know, again and again and again. It's nice to see Robin and Nightwing and all these other characters. I can't remember, the Flash, Kid Flash and all these other characters. It was just nice, but again, due to ratings, they cancelled it, and again, they're going to replace it with a new Teen Titans series. Really? and a kid-friendly Batman series that is getting really bad reviews right now. So, you know, the way Japanese do things, I'm not going to say Japanese don't do things by ratings as well, but the America seems very quick to drop something that doesn't work, and even if that means stopping the storyline, they'll just cut it quick and just move on, which which bothers me, a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. That's partly why I really love anime, is because you have all of these different ideas, and they won't really stop something that may not be working quite right in a certain sense.
Yeah.
I mean, they may stop the anime, but they'll go into the manga, and they'll keep the manga going. And so you can actually see the end of the show with the manga most of the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're more faithful to finishing a story some more times than America. But to be honest with you, what I will say before people jump on me and think, oh, what you're saying is complete bullshit. What I will say, when you look at American comics, they did exactly the same thing. American comics have so many variations of a story or of a character. It does, it's not surprising they do the same thing with their TV shows. So maybe they are just keeping to the source material, picking it up, dropping it, moving it to another show. We got Uncanny X-Men, we got X-Men, we got the X-Force, we've got, what I mean? Jesus Christ, you can't even keep up anymore. But let me just move on to the final part of the discussion, which is now a new craze is coming in, which I do want to mention because someone emailed us as well, and Kimono Joe brought this up as well. Anime crowdsourcing projects, like anime Kickstarter projects, where producers and companies are coming out and saying that, hey, do you want a sequel to a show? Fund us, give us some Kickstarter money, and then we'll put it towards a project you like. And I like that idea. Instead of letting the companies just having control on what they're going to reboot and what they're going to do next, it gives the fans a chance to promote what they want to promote directly. And there's a site called Anime Souls, which is doing that very not as big as Kickstarter right now, but Anime Souls, SOLS, I'll put a link in the description, is doing a lot of crowdsourcing now with anime titles. I think recently they got the Blackjack series. They did a collaboration with the creators of the Blackjack series, and they actually got that funded, and they're going to be redistributing that now, thanks to that crowdsourcing project. So, I really like that. I really like seeing that power coming back to the people, to the fans. What's your take on that, Angel, by the way?
I think it's awesome. It would be really cool if also we got the companies into this as well, to where they'll actually let people vote on what they want done. It's really interesting that we have these small, almost no-name places asking everyone which show you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, things are changing, man, and I really like this, and it's good, it's beneficial, it's giving the people what they want, and the only thing that makes me wonder, since we're on the topic of this is a podcast talking about trending, will that have an effect on how long things last in terms of duration? Just because we fund the title and it gets successfully redistributed or recreated. For example, prior to this recording, me and you were saying that one of our heart's desire animes we'll love to see get a distribution is Bartender.
Yes.
That we both love that show, and definitely if they did a Kickstarter for that, I would definitely back that series, because I think that is a series that has worldwide appeal. Due to the subject matter in question.
And I would have loved to see it dubbed too, if it was dubbed right.
Yeah, but only time will tell, Angel. Only time will tell. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything I wanted to say on this topic, Angel. Have you got any final thoughts on this?
Well, I don't think we want to have this episode go as long as all of these animes. I mean, I could so go on to 6,910 whatever.
10 bloody 1,000 episodes. We'll be here all night.
If we went through the whole entire list, it'd be so much.
Yeah, but don't worry, people. The lists, check out the list yourselves. I'm going to try to put some videos in here, but again, we just wanted to briefly talk about what we're acquainted with, and, not keep it too long. So this is a little bit of a shorter podcast, but we hope you enjoyed it.
Pretty much been talking a lot, so surprisingly, after all the other podcasts where you've been talking mostly.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I don't believe it or not, people. Sometimes I'm just worried that you guys get bored listening. So I don't like there to be dead space. Even when I'm editing, I like to keep things tight so you guys are always engaged. So, as long as you guys are not shy, my hosts are not shy to talk, I'll let you guys talk. But Angel, man, as usual, it was a pleasure to have you on, sharing the mic with you. I know everyone's busy right now. It's a very hectic time, and on the next episode there will be an announcement because the podcast will be going on a short hiatus. But I don't want to go into too much details right now. On the next episode, I'll go into full details because we'll be closer to the time where I can give more specific details. But yeah, for now, I just want to thank Angel for coming on. You guys should check out Angel's reviews. I'll put a link to her Tumblr account where she does all her reviews. She does share reviews on multiple sites as well, but if you want to, get in contact with her directly, you need to contact her on her Tumblr page because she always takes requests and she's always putting out good stuff. I love your reviews, love collaborating with you, and, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, I don't only do anime and manga. I also do just normal American cartoons or stuff like that. So you're not really limited as long as it's got some sort of animated aspect to it. I'll try to review it.
Yeah, and again, people, I do apologize. The mic quality has been a little bit unstable in this episode. I am going to try to fix it in post, but, due to time constraints, we have to record when we can record. And if we can't fix the mic, we just have to push on ahead. But, I apologize, Angel, if you do come out sounding a little bit worse than you did when we recorded. But I will try to fix it, so please.
I've got to figure out my mic. That's all I have to do.
It does happen, people. It does happen.